Perfect. So welcome everybody to Strelitzia's first ever seminar or webinar online. First of all, I'll introduce everybody. So as some of you are current customers, you might know me and Archie. I have grown up in our florist, Flowers by Naturist, and I joined our sister company, Strelitzia Software, about 3 years ago now, although it seems about 3 minutes. And Archie is our newest member of the team, so I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello, I'm Archie. I've been in floristry here with my wife at Riverside Flowers in Lewis, Sussex for 10 years. She's been around just a few years longer. We've been Strelitzia customers for about 7 or 8 years now, and I joined the team in July to do customer support and basically help the team with queries. So I think I've spoken to some of you before now, but we'll catch up at some point as well.
And our guest today bodes no introduction. We have Neil Whittaker, who was second in the world of floristry in 2010 and has several Chelsea Gold medals to his name. So really pleased to have you. And I also know that you were one of our very, very first Strelitzia customers. So
yeah, that's correct.
So yeah, welcome. And yeah, like I say, if we did all of your accolades, I think we'd be here for a while. So thank you for coming on today. So first of all, the kind of boring admin that I'll get out the way so that if anyone's got any questions, you know where to put them to, and then we'll crack on with the main events. So we have on the guest list, we have about a 50-50 split between current Strelitzia users and non-Strelitzia users. That is absolutely fine. What we're hoping to do for the current users is give you an idea of how you can use the system to its full advantage. And non-Strelitzia users, we should be able to I'll just disable that, sorry. For non-Strelitzia users, you should get an idea of how Strelitzia works over Christmas, but also get some hints and tips on how you run Christmas within your shop and how we can help, or as the case may be, use other systems in accordance with us. So first of all, Archie's already mentioned it, but we are recording. So if you want to remain anonymous, we've put some instructions online and on your invitation so that you can remove your names if you would so like. And the format of today is Archie and I are going to be talking to you for about 20 minutes or so about Strelitzia and hints and tips from our florist. And then we are going to hand over to the wonderful Neil, who'll talk to you about 30-40 minutes on how he's getting prepared for Christmas in his shop. If you have any questions whilst we're on, please send them to our info@strelitziasoftware.com email address, which you can see on your screens now, and Archie will be picking them up and will field some questions to us at appropriate points throughout the day. So first of all, I'm going to come out of here. The way I'm going to do this is I've picked up our Flowers by Naturist's Strelitzia. We've put in a whole bunch of new orders, and so that it's all GDPR safe. And what I'm going to do is share how we use our system and how we would use the information that we've already got to get going over the Christmas period and start organising of what to buy, sundries, that sort of thing. So if I go ahead and share my screen, you should be able to see our reports page in Strelitzia. Now, I know that a few of you are on our legacy system. If that is the case, then you can use, there's a report system which is looks very, very different. This one's a lot more user-friendly. And if you want to see how you can grab the reports that I'm going to do using our legacy system, then just give us a bell and we'll show you how to do that. So the first thing I would do when I'm kind of organising Flowers by Naturist, or we call it FBN for short, over the Christmas period, is we would look at what we did last year. Now, normally I would have created a debrief, but knowing what's happened over the past year and things changing around, first thing I'd do is look back at what we did last year. So if I go into shop sales, what I can do is generate a report for Christmas last year. So if I just go ahead, put in the whole of December, and you can do this for as much time as you would like, to as much shorter time as you like. So if I'm looking for a day, you can see as much detail as you'd like. So on the right hand side, I've got a breakdown of exactly what's happening for each order in Strelitzia. On the other side, I've got a summary. So on my left hand side, I can see what the number of orders are and how many items are sold and what my average sale is. So up here in the northeast, I'm pretty pleased with that £57 average order value. Depends on different areas, and our number of items sold is 16 more than our orders. Shows that I've got quite a lot of add-ons in there, and people are buying extras when they're talking to my team. So I'm quite pleased with that. The next thing I would look at is our delivery charges. Now, I think this is more prevalent this year than it has been for quite a few years because of the increased price of petrol with the economy reopening. It's making sure that I'm taking advantage of my delivery driver being out, my vans being out, any petrol, and that is being paid for with my delivery charges. If it's not being charged out of there, it's either coming out of my profit or it's coming out of the budget I'm putting into flowers. So it's really great to pass that on to customers, and don't be scared of doing that. It's something that I think as an industry we are a little bit hesitant of, but we charge from between £6 in our local town, so Darlington, and up to £10 for national delivery, and people don't quibble it, and it means that £1,000 for the month of December net, I'm really quite happy with over that time period. I'm just going to take a drink. I've had a cold, so I've been preserving my voice. So if I sound a bit husky, I do apologise over the next few minutes. The next thing I would look at is my occasions. So I can see why people have bought from me. Christmas is no surprise, my biggest one here. But I've also got funerals in there over the December month, that's no surprise, and a few bits and bobs. My biggest constructive feedback on this is my gift. I would ask our team not to put as many generic gifts in there so that we can really see why people are buying, and then we can market to them, which Archie's going to show us in a minute, really directly of why they've bought from me. The other thing I would look at here is my connectors. So how am I doing with orders from Relay, being Interflora, eFlorist or D2F, or website? So we don't have Relay, but in our shop we have a website, and the reports are currently running for Florist Pro, Florist Windows, Floral Cloud, WordPress and Shopify, and our Miles is just around the corner and will be released in a couple of weeks. So if I again change this up to December last year and put in again to Christmas Day, I can have a look exactly what I've done on our web last year. It shows that I've got an average order value of about 43 quid, lower than my shop, which means actually I'm going to see if I can put in some higher value products to bump that up slightly higher than to go in with my shop sales. I can also see on the right hand side that I'm buying specific products. So Winter Ruby, Lemon Sorbet looks like a winner here. So I can, if you're an Excel geek like me, I can export it to CSV, filter it down, have a look at what happened last year, what went really well, because I'm going to sell that again, and what didn't go so well, and what am I going to change up this year. And it just gives me all of that power at my fingertips of what I've sold last year. And as you can see, all of these have come into our Herworth shop, but you might have it where if you've got two shops and orders are coming in from both shops, you can filter it between the two shops. So that's where I'm going to hand over to Archie, and he's going to have a chat about marketing for us.
So hi, this is the one of the bits that I really enjoy about Strelitzia, is being able to sort of recall when I speak to you guys on the phone about support and saying to you that the information you put into the system will yield stuff as you draw it back out. And as customers phone and you're taking their details and you're taking their address, their telephone number and their email addresses, you're building a database in the background all the time. All the information you're gaining about them, what they like to order, what they've ordered previously, their average spend, all of that's all building up for this particular reason. So when you're drawing out a marketing database, particularly around Christmas, what products are selling, what's their average spend, etc., you're already they're already what's the word, willing to spend money with you. You're just giving them that little jolt to make that phone call to you, or to send the email, or to go onto your website to order a product. And it's really simple. If the information is correct, it draws off properly. So within Strelitzia, and for those who aren't Strelitzia users, this is something that will cut hours and hours of man hours in your marketing direct to your customers. So have a look. If it's of interest to you, get in touch and we can have a chat with you about that. So in your business center here under marketing tab, you can pull up here, and we've done just a very quick draw on our customer base here. If we click on generate, this is a test system, so none of the information is, we're not breaking GDPR in any way, so bear with. We have a list of our test customers here. We can see straight away we've got their full address details here, including their town and postcode. So we know if it's an area we deliver to, or we might have to ship out to using DPD, APC, whatever you use. They've already agreed to the marketing here, so we know we're not breaking any GDPR rules, and we have their email list here for direct marketing through their emails. We also have their mobile numbers if you have some kind of text service notification system, or landline numbers if they prefer a quick courtesy call. I noticed you ordered a wreath this time last year. Would you like to reorder? That kind of thing. It's up to you how you do your marketing. But the beauty of this is that you can export all of this information into a CSV folder or CSV file, which you can then laterally import into things like MailChimp or your own Outlook or your email system. So really importantly, right from the get-go, when a customer is placing an order with you, is to get as much information from them as possible for this very reason. This also kind of builds a value against your business year on year. So the other side of marketing directly, and the other benefit of being able to market directly to people, is to be able to offer something like an early bird discount. So get in before the middle of November, place your orders now. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to bulk your sales in the run up to Christmas in what would normally be a quiet period. People aren't really geared up towards buying at Christmas time at the beginning of November. But if you offer an early bird discount, that's going to draw a little bit of business into you. It's going to draw a little bit of capital, and it makes it a little bit easier for you to manage. So over on the admin side here under settings, if we scroll down, we'll see here we've got our discount codes. Okay, and you can create a discount code for whatever you like. It can be a fixed amount of a product, so it can be £5 when you spend £50 or more, or it can be a percentage of the overall sale of the products. It's important to note that the discount codes don't affect your delivery fees. So your delivery fees are separate to that as well. So here we've actually created an early bird discount. Okay, when we click on here, we can see that the early bird discount here, when it opens, sorry, 2 seconds, technology, it's got to be great. There we go. Okay, so we know it's active. There's the code that that your customers can quote either online or directly with you at the shop. The validity period of that particular code. So you don't want it to go beyond. I'm sorry, I put these dates in the wrong way around. So you don't want it to go on beyond the 15th of November. And second, then you've got your minimum order value. So if you want to entice people to spend a little bit more than they did last year, you can say on orders over 50 quid. People have customers that you'll know will have this kind of mental, if I'm saving 10%, I'll spend the extra 5 to get that extra 10%, as it were, and it might save them 7 quid. That sort of idea. So customers will already expect to pay a little bit more to get a discount. You can set it as a percentage, or you can set it as a fixed rate value, like we said earlier on. I tend to do percentages because that's a nice little round figure, and you can set here whether it's 10, 15, 20, depends on how generous you want to be. And then your products list, it can be all products or on selected products if you wish. The selected products tends to be a little bit trickier. But other than that, really, that's how you would set up your discount and how it would apply to your marketing mail lists and the run up to Christmas. If you got any questions or you want to know how to set this up, our email address is info@strelitziasoftware.com, or you can call us on 01325 722 398 and we'll go through that with you. Again, those aren't current Strelitzia users. If this appeals to you, if you find that you can work this in your shop, give us a call and we can go through a quick demo with you as well. I'm going to hand you back to Amy for the fun bit. And yeah, cheers for that. I'll talk to you later.
Cool. So what I'm going to talk about is once we've kind of got that boring reports out of the way, which is so vital but can be a little bit on the slow side, is what we can do between now and Christmas next year, now and Christmas this year, to increase our sales that might not be retail. Retail is something that is really is kind of, people are saving this time of year. They're not looking at spending a huge amount of money. So what we've done over the last few years, and Archie, can you just stop presenting for me so I can flick across to Blackwell? Perfect. So if I go to Blackwell, this is something that we've talked about with our hotel customers over the last few years. We have moved across in November to decorating the full hotel for them. We approach the hotels that we work with for weddings anyway, and we create these beautiful displays for them. Takes us a team of 4 of us about 3 or 4 days to do this particular hotel, and we do 3 hotels within the local area. Quite a lot of it isn't much more difficult than doing a wedding, as in we're all quite versed at doing garland. It's just got slightly more glitter than garland in that garland, and you're still finding it in your hair in January. So what we do is we'll go in, this is their main hall, but we will do every area that the brides may see within that hotel. And this particular hotel has got a huge uplift from weddings over that Christmas period, because it's what we're good at. We're creative, we're designers as florists, and it just means that we can transfer these skills and help our hotels and create that relationship. And what I would say is, don't be scared to knock on the door and get the answer no, because it is something that is really valuable over that November period. The other thing we do with the hotels is extend that from the beginning of November, when we put all of these beautiful displays up, all the way up to Christmas Day, by putting in fresh flowers to complement them. You can see next to the picture of yours truly here, we've got the bud bars in the coffee area, and we have reception vases, and we fill them with beautiful spruces that will inevitably not last for the month, and we replace them on a weekly basis so that they've got a little bit of interest and some beautiful flowers and smell to go with the artificial displays that we've created for them. How we complement this with Strelitzia is Strelitzia does all the back work for Sally and the team. So if I go back to Strelitzia and I get logged in our repeat orders tab, what we have is orders already set up for our hotels. So on a weekly basis, when I want to deliver, the order is created 5 days before. It is automatically put in my makeup list, so my florists know they need to create it. It's automatically put in my delivery list, so the driver's not going to miss it, and it's automatically put into the account if needed. If not, then we can put it on as to pay. But it's just something that makes life so much simpler, so that when you are getting to that December period, when people finally remember to order for Aunt so-and-so and you're really, really busy, the worry of getting them out to hotels and keep maintaining that relationship is already done for you. So Archie is going to have a chat about our subscription flowers that he's been doing in Riverside.
So yeah, thank you very much. So while we're on the repeat order system here, you guys will probably have experienced an influx in subscription orders, and that could be 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, whatever. It could be weekly, it could be daily if they're feeling a little bit flush, but you never know. So using the repeat order screen, we've set up here a demo of a subscription, and basically what works for us here is that customers tend to pay for the subscriptions up front. Works for 90% of the florists that I've spoken to with regards to how they do their subscriptions. Some people want to get a phone call every month to pay for that 30 quid. That's fine too. It's a little bit more involving with your admin, etc., etc. And other people want on an invoice and are happy to pay it in chunks. So I'm going to assume in this scenario the customer is paid up front and has paid for all their orders. When you're processing the order, to start with, you put it in like any other order on Strelitzia, but in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see this repeat order, and that's where you can set the frequency and when to deliver the product. So here we've got the customer wants every third Wednesday of the month. Not particularly sure why, but that's the way they want it. You've got the options there. They've also set here, bear with me a sec, just get a bit of control of Amy's computer. Technology.
Sounds dangerous.
It's great when it works. Okay, so here we go. So they want it every month. They want it starting in October. If say maybe they want it set up in January, you just click across, and we can go third Wednesday every January. In January I started there, and then you can put an end date of December into here. And it means then you can keep a tally of what orders are coming up. On the top of the page here, you can see here that it ends on the 12th of January. You can see how many orders you have left or how many months you have left to run, etc., etc. So it's a nice kind of quick overview on how your subscriptions are running. Now, hopefully for you guys, this page will be absolutely full of lines of repeat orders for subscriptions because it's going to go absolutely brilliantly this year. Go on.
I was just going to say, it's a trend in the industry that has been going for quite a few years with the subscription flowers, and we get generally them at Christmas through our website for flowers for 12 months or flowers for 6 months. But as local florists, we shouldn't let people like Freddie's Flowers or the other larger businesses within the industry take advantage of this trend. We have the tools at our fingertips to be able to create them, and if people want to pay on an ongoing basis, tools like Go Cardless can take that money from you from the direct debit automatically and just keeps your life really, really simple.
And it ties nicely as well into what we were saying earlier on about the marketing. You can say to suggest to people in your marketing, this is one of the up and coming gift ideas for Christmas, a subscription flowers, and get ahead of the likes of Freddie Flowers and Bloom and Wild and all the other people, and just say, shop local, keep it local, support your local high street. It's what we're all in here for anyway. So why not maximize on that?
Cool. So the last thing I'm going to talk to you with Strelitzia about is the QR codes. Now, this is something that I think is a bit of a hidden gem in Strelitzia. A lot of our legacy customers won't use it because once they've been transferred, it's a brand new system, and it's so simple to use. If I go on print makeup list here, which shouldn't be too much of a surprise, I can choose today, tomorrow, or a date range. So if I'm looking at buying what I need to buy next week, I can do it that way. If I go to tomorrow, I can print makeup list. What that will do is create me a list, which gives me everything I need to buy for that week, because it'll give me a list of aqua with 21 red roses. So I can have a look at my Naomi roses in there, and I've got truffle set with that. I've also got include roses, no whites, and then one of my fairy dream bouquets, which is from my website. Whether this comes from a shop sale, your web sale, or relay, this QR code can help your florist create it. Use a normal, smartphone, scan it with your, scan the piece of paper you printed off, and it will show you exactly what you need to create. So if you're anything like me and it gets to mid-December and I'm back in the shop all of a sudden, I cannot remember what a Jingle Bells is, despite the fact I put it online a couple of weeks ago. I can go on, scan it, and it just reduces errors or the customer being a bit disappointed because it wasn't exactly what it looked like online. So I'll cancel out of that. But that's kind of, I was going to say, it for me and Archie. If anybody's got any questions, like I say, please send them to the info@ email address. That's info@strelitzia.com. And we would be very happy to pick up any questions you've got. And what I would say for there is a mix of people on here. So legacy customers that are on our older system, cloud customers, and people that aren't Strelitzia users. If you're not a Strelitzia user, there's still plenty of time to get this up and running for Christmas, and it means that you've got all of this data that you're collecting that you can use for reports next year, and get your delivery lists done very fast this year compared to rewriting them all on Christmas Eve morning or whatever that might be. Cool. So I'm going to stop presenting my screen. So you should be able to see the three of us on screen now, and I'm going to spotlight Neil, hopefully. Great with technology work. And we're going to have a quick chat with Neil for the next kind of half an hour and get his thoughts on Christmas. So hi, Neil. Oh, I'll just unmute you.
Has that done it?
Yeah,
there we
there
go.
you go. The soundtrack of 2021. You're on
Hi,
mute.
Amy. Okay.
Yeah, good, thank you. Good. So I've got a couple of questions here for Neil that I've created, but if anyone's got any more, then please feel free to send them, and we'll get you updated from there. So first of all, the first question we had from quite a few customers was wreath making. It's an ongoing trend. So what are your hints and tips on making the perfect wreath this year?
Well, we over the last few years have changed and gone away from, I know, the traditional methods for time, because, you know, at the end of the day, we're making lots of different things these times in the shop. So we went for a Mitchell clamping machine, which was the best investment I ever made about 4 or 5 years ago. I can make a holly wreath in about 10 minutes by adding everything in, so it doesn't take a lot of time. I'm not having to hurt my fingers with wires, so it does make it a lot more simple. So as you can see, I bought the cheapest of the clamping machines here, so you can see, and those were £59.95 plus VAT. I mean, you can buy the more expensive one where it's got a foot and, you know, it's nearly, what, £300. But we've made these two wooden plates which slide on, which actually gives us the table as it's clamped to the counter itself.
So we went for the middle ground. We've got one that has the foot clamp, which means you're not quite as tied up with your hands, but
Yeah.
I think both of them work just as well as each other. So if I scroll to the second one, it gives you an idea on how you're clamping. So Neil, I'll let you talk about how that works with the frame.
So obviously, you see, we've added the two pieces of wood now underneath. So that's given us the actual base for us to clamp the machine. And you can see that the two prongs fit in the machine, and then you've got the lever at the end that actually closes the clamp. So you work in sections, putting your conifer, your spruce, your Scotch pine, whatever foliages you want to include. But what we do, we add all our ribbons or cones or baubles all at the same time. I don't want to have to make the wreath and then have to add those later on, so it's much more time effective.
So these are the ones you've created. A lot of them are what's the word I'm looking for? Artificial greenery. Are you using mainly artificial?
No, they're all real. It's all real greenery in there. It's blue spruce and Scotch pine.
And so where are you getting your greeneries from?
I have an English wholesaler who generally gets my pine for me, which is on average around about £8 a bundle. So we buy that in. We store it outside the shop in the weather, you know, in the cold weather, the damp weather, so we can keep it moist, so it doesn't go off too quickly. We put all the spruce and stuff outside because it is secluded and safe. The only things that's added into those is, you know, like, you know, you get your Christmas picks and they're about you sell them out about £1.99. So you've got the ones where it's got the two baubles and the extra bits. Then we've added the pine, and then we've added the ribbons. and then the last piece that we do wire in is like I've added the nutcracker in there. So
I like that one.
yeah, and that was one of our most popular last year.
Just out of curiosity, is there basing in this? Is there moss or anything in the back
There's
of that?
no moss at all. The wiring, when you actually make the bunches and you make your clumps and you add them to the each clamp section, they clamp over the foliage and your ribbon wires, and everything is secure. So it is smooth at the back. It doesn't damage the door or anything. So you don't need to have the moss. The moss in the olden days, we used the moss in the idea that it would just add that extra little bit of moisture to the foliage, but you've got to double leg everything. And really these days it's all about profit and speed. So, you know, you don't want to be wasting more time actually mossing up hundreds of wreaths like we used to do, or you'd wreath wrap them. So all you're doing is keeping the moisture inside the wreath, where with this, it's open to the elements. So even though you've got a cut stem and the wreath is outside, it's still getting the moisture, and the decorative items are fine as well.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
So this year we brought the heart framing for the first time, and we've already started selling them. We've had them hanging outside the shop. That particular one there is £55. But that is an artificial garland that's on there, and it's a cheap garland that was partly dressed, which cost wholesale at £5.90 plus VAT, and then we just added the baubles, the larger poinsettia and the ribbons to bring it up to value. Everything is hot glued in, nothing's wired, so we hot glue everything in that's onto an artificial base, and the same with the wreath next door.
Cool.
What was you saying? I didn't hear you. You're on mute.
You're on mute. This is going to be the anthem of the pandemic, isn't it? You're on mute. You're on mute.
No, still can't hear you, Amy.
Let's see if it. Bear with us.
How about now?
There we go.
I was just saying that I'll show you a few more as Neil was talking.
Yeah.
One of our hints and tips that we've done with FBN is we go down to a Christmas tree farm and buy a lot of our spruce from them. And when I say buy, I mean collect all the wonky trees,
yeah.
And chuck them into the van, and they're going free. So
and the other thing is, if you build up and you do sell Christmas trees like we used to do years ago, if you build up a good rapport with the tree seller, 9 times out of 10 they'll let you take all the bits that they've cut off the bottom. They won't even charge you for them. So there's a lot of profit that you can add to your wreaths as well. These two at the top again are on fresh wreaths, where we've added the oranges or the cones, the baubles, ribbons, and on the opposite side it's just a different choice of decoration, but they are all clamped in. What I do is when I'm working out a wreath, I work out exactly how many segments there are on the wreath where the clamps are, and work out how much product I need for each section as I'm building it up, so I don't have to waste any time, and I can get the product in exactly the right place, and I can manipulate it around once it's all together.
Neil, just while I compose you there, we've got a question in from somebody saying, do you do wreath making classes?
No, we don't, because we haven't got enough space, and I don't feel I have got the time to go and hire a hall down the road. So I've only got a counter in the middle of the shop that would most probably take 3 people. I do have another couple of counters, but no, I don't get into making the wreath making side.
Okay.
Not like the old shop where I had a schoolroom in the middle of the shop.
that'd be wonderful.
I've got another question here. With regards to your picks and your decorations, do you have a supplier? Do you have a regular supplier that you'd recommend?
Well, I mean, for my baubles, actually, I go to Stacks, which is a do-it-yourself wholesaler. You most probably have all heard of it, but this time of year they have a massive. I forgot to mention this yesterday, Amy. They have a massive range of Christmas products, but their baubles are the cheapest. So, you know, you can go and buy a drum of 37 baubles for £3.50. and the more you buy, the cheaper they go. Now that stacks, and I've tried all different places. I've gone to Van Fleet's and bought their fancier baubles, which are double the price. But at the end of the day, when it's going out to a customer, it's going on the door. I can get the cheaper ones, and it still looks as good, but I can still make more profit.
Absolutely. And then the last picture we've got on for the wreaths is your beautiful shop and the displays that you've created outside.
So we really try to go to town to really attract people in. You know, we've got a full selection there. You've got to the right of it, the stand where the wreaths are. They're the most basic wreaths. Those are the ones that people buy generally to take to the grave. So they've got the plastic flowers on and the ribbons, and they're all fresh holly, spruce. And then obviously, as you can see across the shop, those are the more expensive wreaths that we design for people to pick up and take away straight away, ranging from £30 to £70. Because we do have 3 different sizes in the wreath range. We have an 8-inch, a 10-inch, and a 14-inch. So we could do really large luxury ones as well. So you've got to give a price choice to the customer, because, you know, not everybody wants to just spend £30. You know, the customer might want to spend 70, or come in and say, I want it even fancier and I want £100 one.
God, that'd be nice to get a few of them in.
We do, but the thing is, if you don't show it, they're not going to buy it. Even if it's only just one item that you've got out there, just proving that you can actually do something even more luxurious. I mean, we do say to customers that are buying the dearer ones, they can always take everything out and they can bring it back the following year, and we can place it into the wreath that we're making for them with the fresh foliages. But we just hope that they forget that where they've put it, so they have to buy all new again, you know. So, and generally they want to change the colour, so hopefully that's what happens.
Picking up on the wreath making classes, one thing we did last year with the pandemic, which I thought worked really well, is a wreath making kit. So we sent it out to a lot of people, and Sally, who runs our florist, did a video on how to create the wreath. And it just means that if you, like yourself, Neil, you don't have the space within the shop, it's a way of getting your customers involved.
So on that side of it, you've got to remember that it's different to using the clamping machine. For the shop, it has to be on a moss wreath. Or
a wired base.
We use the I'm going to disagree with you here. We use the clamping machine, so really? we will just put greenery, like bunches of greenery around, and then we'll send them the additions to wire in.
Okay, you send the wreath out already made, not sending out a wreath and then they have to make it themselves.
No, the second way. So we will put the greenery, just do a greenery wreath, and we'll let them wire in them.
Okay, so then you're using the clamping machine. It's fair enough. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
But before we move on, that is one thing that it's not an expensive addition to the shop, and it makes such a difference on creating your wreath and time. It's the best thing I think.
So that's available from is it quiltedchristmastrees.co.uk, is it?
Yes, we'll send out the link to everybody.
So we've got a question in. You ready? This one's for Amy. You ready, Amy? You're in the hot seat.
Oh gosh.
What's your advice for starting to talk to hotels about Christmas decorations, and how would you go about pricing?
Don't be scared of don't be scared of going in and talking to either the wedding coordinator or the manager of the hotel. It can be daunting because they're the kind of bigger business in your eyes, but price yourself fairly. £30 to £40 an hour per person in there. You are skilled labour. You are doing something that their team cannot do. We have a 4-star and a 5-star hotel that we work with in the area. We have done for quite a few years, and like I say, it helps us. Doing that Christmas has helped us with business throughout the year as well. So it's getting that introduction, talking to the manager, creating a meeting, and not being scared to hear no. I know it can be disappointing, but for every 3 no's you hear, you get a yes. And it's, you know, several £1,000s per hotel that we're charging for 4 days work of, depending on how big the hotel is, for 3-4 people, and we charge it as such.
Okay. Thank you. There's a question coming from me. Yeah, do I get a prize if I get this answer right? This will be pretty cool. How are you finding using new cloud-based Strelitzia compared to legacy Strelitzia? It's night and day, really, in short. Don't get me wrong, the legacy Strelitzias, did what it needed to do for us. But I think the cloud-based system, having access to it on whatever platform you're on, whether you're on a tablet, computer, laptop, iPad, whatever, as long as you can run Chrome on it, it's instant access. Because all the information's online, you don't have to rely on a computer on the shop being on all the time and worrying about having to force connection. And I was speaking to a customer today, and we were trying to get a connection going, and the computers were in the same shop on the same network. It just happened that they just weren't talking to each other. So those kind of frustrations have been alleviated. There's still bits and pieces that need tidying up, and we're aware of that, and we're working on that. But I mean, the benefits far outweigh the downside of legacy. So yeah, I'm very happy customer with that from that front, and that's not me as a Strelitzia employee thing. It's pretty good. As a shop here, it's brilliant. It saves hundreds and hundreds of hours in writing up delivery lists and such like. So yeah, very cool. Neil, your camera's turned off. Somebody's saying, can you pop your camera? I think they want to look at your face rather than mine. So yeah, in the hot seat.
I mean, just sort of what you were saying about the new cloud system.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like heaven on a Saturday evening or a Sunday evening to be able to go in the system. I can print my orders up here. I know they're already in the system when I go in the morning. I can have all my cards written, all my envelopes done. I can't tell you how much time that saves me on a Monday morning when you've got your flower delivery there. You've got to get your orders made to go out. It really does save a lot of time.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
What I would say from a definite Strelitzia point of view is people sometimes find that when they go into the new system, it's a little bit like going to the supermarket where they've moved the shelves around and it takes you a little bit of time where you're like, I can't find X or the milk or whatever it might be. Everything's there. It's just all swapped around a little bit.
Take me a little while to get my head round it. Now I mean, poor Archie must have been the first few weeks. Now I've got my head round it and how it works, the system. It's so it's intuitive.
It's muscle memory, isn't it? It's muscle memory, and I think you're right. So my first week at Strelitzia, it was nail this, nail that, nail the other, and I was like, who is this Neil character?
Been on the other system for what, 15 years, Amy?
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. 2006. So yeah.
I'm not going to coin the phrase "old dog and new tricks," but it got it pretty quickly. We've got another question in here. Let's have a look. Amy, in 30 seconds, can you name all 8 reindeer?
No.
Go on, I'll start counting.
I honestly don't think I could.
You're not going to give it a go?
No, I'm going to be like Rudolph, Vixen, Prancer. I'm really bad.
Dancer.
I thought.
Thank you.
Neil's on it. Go on, Neil. Have a go.
Someone's trying to trip me up.
See,
cool,
you're
right.
on
Well, going back to questions, the one I've got for Neil is, what is your forecast for 2021? Obviously, last year we had the pandemic, we had the Kent variant coming through, and this year, touch wood, the economy's reopened, and we should see that going into 2021. But we've got new challenges with inflation. So, what's your prediction in the shop?
I mean,
sales?
I still think customers are going to buy. I'm hoping it's going to be as busy as last year. I'm buying my products in that, the Christmas products, the same as I did last year. I've been buying them earlier to try and make sure I'm getting them at today's costs and not when the next batch of products come in and we know they're going to be dearer. So I'm trying to be clever so that at the end of the day, I can charge a little bit more and make a little bit more profit as well. I do think it's going to be a good Christmas. I must admit, I'm finding October is a little bit of a weird one. I think it's one of the quietest I've known for a long time. Yeah, so I'm hoping that's not the start of the way the trend's going to go. But I do think, what it's like, all on the last minute, customers decide they want to spend, but you've just got to get out there and get it outside the shop or get your displays out to drag that customer in, get your website sorted. I mean, you should be already getting your Christmas collections pre-made, ready to launch onto your websites. I do generally sit them in the background so customers can go and find them without making them the full focus. And I do find that even if they're sat there, customers will start ordering. I mean, I've had people order Christmas products a good 2 months in advance when I've had them launched in the background of the website.
And do you want to explain a little bit of what we were talking about yesterday? If I share my screen and talk about stem count and how we think that's going to affect the prices of flowers this year. So if I, hang on, there we go. So this is your autumn collection, but this is what you're looking at for now. Each bouquet, but you would do something very similar for Christmas.
Yeah, so what I do is when I am getting ready, I've already started my Christmas collection. I've done my winter collection and I'm halfway through my Christmas collection. I take my images ready for the website and make sure they all have their names, their appropriate codes, so that it can all be downloaded into Strelitzia, so it's going to collect that data. And then we work out cost price. So we start with a standard bouquet, a plus or large bouquet, extra large and luxury. And I actually sit down and I work them out. So it's easy for the staff. They can just go and have a look at the item and pull it. Obviously for Christmas, I'm working on an extra 25% extra on my stem count. So I'm making sure that I'm hoping that the prices that I'm forecasting for Christmas are going to be correct. And at the end of the day, if the customer is willing to pay for that item and they're looking at that item, why should I add an extra stem in, even if they come in that they're 10% cheaper, still sell it and make that extra 10% profit? I think that's the most important thing. But I do sit and spend a lot of time doing this whenever I'm putting collections together, because obviously if you are taking the image, you've made the item, I write it down, and then I'm writing the stem count down. So I've already got it there for whether it's the basic or the large or the luxury. I take sizes of the image so the customer knows exactly what the size of the item will be. So when everything's on there, the information is correct. Most important thing I always say to people, when you do take an image and you've got your JPEG, don't put it on your website just as a JPEG. Make sure you put the image name within that title, because Google likes that and Google then goes searching to find that product.
The scary world of SEO, but yeah, you're absolutely right, it does. It absolutely does.
On the note of imagery, Neil, and actually kind of ties in nicely with what we're going to talk about next, is that Katie, who's one of the Bennett dynasty, is going to be running a blog next week on how you can produce and edit and create imagery using your mobile phone.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on we've got a new website up and running. So on the blogs tab there, keep an eye out for that when it happens next week. You might get an email as well about it. But, you know, keep an eye out for it. There'll be some pretty good.
I mean, those images that are there that you're looking at on my autumn collection, I take all my images on a white background, photography white background in the shop, and then I have a app on my phone that takes the background out, and I drop those backgrounds are all from an app. They're not in my shop.
And I thought you were a professional photographer, Neil.
Nope, I've dropped all those backgrounds in myself just from a little app on my phone.
Cool.
So it looks like it stood on a shelf.
Have you got any hints or tips that would be of how to create a bouquet for imagery? The reason I say it is we create it slightly different, where we will make stems slightly higher so that it looks round on the picture, even if it's not in real life.
When you I mean, it's like anything when you do an image. And I always, when I take, say like the hand tied at the top, you can see that the back flowers are higher rather than they would be lower, because you wouldn't see those, so that you can show that you actually have gerbras at the back, or other chrysanthemums at the back. So we always bring those higher at the back of the hand tied, lower to the front. We may tilt it slightly so it gives a better image when you're actually taking it. And one of the interesting things is, whenever you take a photograph never lies, so it always tells you where you've got empty space. So it might be that you just take one flower off a piece of chrysanthemum and drop that flower into that awful area just to make it look correct.
Yeah.
You know, that's the sort of thing I've learned through doing imagery with like the relay companies over the years, and the way they manipulate the photograph to make it more pleasing to the customer's eye. And then again, think of your accessories. How are you going to show the accessories? Like this autumn range, we've just used a craft hand-tied holder, so that everything is consistent, so it keeps the cost down rather than using many different products.
Cool. Have we got any questions in, or shall I've got one last one that we can squeeze in if not.
I've not got anything in yet, but we've got about 5 minutes left, so if anybody watching has any questions, get into.
Yeah, so I have one of, what are you doing for Christmas preparation this year, as far as wraps, bows, that sort of thing? When would you start creating them for the Christmas period, and where would you advise to get all of that from?
Well, my Christmas wraps were done 2 months ago, while we were quiet, very quiet. While we were quiet, all my wraps were done 2 months ago, and they've got a polythene bag over them, and they're in the storeroom. So I know I'm going to have because we're only using craft papers now with a biodegradable cellophane. So we will use a red craft, a gold craft, and a silver craft, and those are the 3 that we will use. But the thing is, the majority, they can be used all year round, so it's not like a waste of using a product that's got a certain style or imagery on it. It's making it a little bit more cost effective, and then they can go into Valentine's season or Mother's Day season. But we did those 2 months ago while it was quiet, and while the stock was around, so I don't forget to buy it in. We started making bows and putting them in the boxes. You know, for the wreaths, we have a box, and we just make loads and loads of different coloured combination bows and fasten them together. So we've got a collection for each wreath already.
And where are you? Because I found this dead interesting yesterday. Where do you get your ribbons for your bows from? Right,
I go to Costco for my ribbons. They cost me, I think it's £5.99 plus VAT for either 1.5 inch wired or 3 inch wired Christmas ribbons for 45.5 meters.
Jeez.
I go in and I buy 30 rolls every year. September time, I always hit Costco to make sure that the ribbons out, and I keep going every week until they're in, and then I just fill my trolley and I'm ready for the season. Because at that price, you're paying £4.99 or £5.99 for just 10 meters in the wholesalers. So for 45 meters, it's crazy, and I'm selling it out £1 a meter.
There you go. Just a quick thing, going back to what you're saying there about the biodegradable cellophane wrap. Not sure if you're aware, but there's a product called stem gem vases out there as well, if you wanted something a bit sturdier.
Yeah.
Very, very cool product, completely 100% recyclable product. So any of you guys that are thinking about the environment and the use of plastic or reusing plastic, etc., check that out as well. Stem gem vases, it's pretty cool as well.
We're going to be doing a few blogs, I believe, over the next few weeks with a few of our products as well. So we'll give you our feedback on how we've used them for our Christmas range.
And you've got, I mean, and also, Amy, you've got some websites where people can go and look for some of the products that I've been buying at reasonable prices. That I think you're going to share, aren't you?
Yeah, so we've got a couple of, so we've got Holston's and a couple of others, including the Oasis with their floral. They've got their reward. So you get a certain amount of time, certain amount of orders. I think it's 10, and you get a reward back, which we use within the florist. It works quite nicely. So yeah, we've got a couple of links that are recommended suppliers from Neil that we'll send out to you guys over the next, I think it'll be early next week, so keep an eye out for that in your inbox.
If anybody has any questions after the event here, get it across to us at info@strelitziasoftware.com. The video will be going up online in the next few days as well. Any questions that come in, we'll answer on Facebook as well. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Thank you pretty much everybody for joining in.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for coming, Neil. We really appreciated it.
Yeah, you're a legend. All right, take care.
And you too. Bye.
Speak to you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.